Hello, Professor Kent Lee here. How you doing? Welcome back to my video series on theories. In this video, I'm going to talk about linguistics theories in linguistics, and a brief overview of kind of what they are. Now, linguistics as a field consists of a number of different subfields. Syntax is perhaps the most theoretical, and that deals with the theory of grammar, explaining why grammar is the way it is in various human languages, and not just the grammar of sentences, but what kinds of structures and sentences are possible in the world's languages and why that is. So syntax is sort of theory of grammar, and it's related to morphology, which is theory of how words are formed, phonology, which is theory about the sound structure of language. And those are the key theoretical areas in linguistics. Now, phonology is about the sound structure of language and languages. And that's different from phonetics, which is the study of specific sounds and how they are produced in the mouth. There's also pragmatics, which deals with how language is understood in context, how meaning arises from context. When you put sentences together, what do they all mean together? How speakers communicate their intentions and how those are different sometimes from the literal meaning of words. If I say, oh, that's nice, maybe I mean it, maybe I'm just being polite and I'm telling a white lie, and things like that. There's psycholinguistics, which deals with how language is processed and stored in the mind or in the brain. And applied linguistics, which is a huge field that deals with language learning, and especially learning and teaching second languages, and that also overlaps with language education. Now, in terms of theories, of course, syntax and the related areas of morphology and phonology are the areas that are most theoretical. And a big area, one of the big theories, is really a group of theories. So we'll call generative grammar, generative linguistics. And that's actually really a set of theories that try to explain the structures of syntax and sentences, as well as word formation and such, throughout all human languages. And often includes, some abstract ideas about abstract components that underlie sentence structure and things that we are probably not consciously aware of. This theory is particularly from Noam Chomsky and others like him, and there are different variations of generative grammar. They have changed over the years. Chomsky's current version, I think, is what's called minimalism. There are also kind of competing theories within the generative framework. Some people who like Chomsky's general ideas but disagree with some of his approaches and methods and have alternative generative theories. I won't get into that here. But these are theories about sentence syntax and theories about morphology and theories about phonology as well, within the kind of framework that attempts to put together a description of theoretical and abstract components that make up kind of a toolbox that different human languages draw from. So it's kind of universal in its approach of these universal kind of settings and abstract features that languages choose from when they are developing their syntax and their grammar and such. This overlaps somewhat with UG or universal grammar. Now, so generative grammar is specifically a grammar about syntax. Universal grammar is more of a theory about first and second language development and acquisition. What kind of stuff children are born with, what kind of mental knowledge of language children are born with, and then how much of that do you still have when you're older and you're learning a second language. And that includes the idea of critical period. You have a certain amount of time to learn your first language natively, and after that period is over, it's harder to learn, say, a second language when you're adult. So generative grammar is more of the Chomskyan theory of grammar and syntax. Now, there are other approaches to grammar in linguistics. There's cognitive grammar, which is an approach to grammar that is not so much based on like a set of universal features for all languages, but it's an attempt to understand grammar based on cognitive psychology, and it posits that grammar is something that and language is something that developed from other psychological abilities in our mind, and thus is closely connected with other aspects of human cognition and psychology. So draw some cognitive theories and ideas in cognitive psychology to explain structures and word meanings uh, based on psychological and cognitive principles. Then there's functional grammar, or functional approaches to grammar, which is another school of grammar. It's another kind of theoretical paradigm or approach that attempts to base grammar on pragmatics and human communication, the way that humans communicate and how they communicate their messages and their intentions and such. So while generative grammar theory tends to get into really a lot of abstract ideas and posit a lot of abstract things in our minds, in our that exists in the structure of sentences. Functional grammar is kind of the opposite. It doesn't posit like any really abstract stuff. It's more like based on functional, like communication needs and how people communicate. So a lot of the more theoretical areas or theoretical approaches in linguistics are often theories that deal with syntax and grammar, generative, cognitive, and functional. Now, outside of the world of grammar and syntax, the other areas of linguistics that I mentioned, like pragmatics and applied linguistics, and there are a lot of other theories in those areas. There are a number of theories in pragmatics, a number of theories when it comes to language acquisition and applied linguistics, including universal grammar and debates about universal grammar and how that works in second language learning and such. I won't get into those theories so much here because the research in those areas is maybe less theoretical than the research in, say, syntax and grammar fields. I will direct you to my website where I say a little bit more, give you some more details about some of these theories if you're interested in linguistics theories. So that's all for now. Hope you enjoy. Hope this helps. I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.